If your paycheck feels smaller every week, you're not imagining it. Something is breaking in the U.S. economy, and the headlines are pretending it's fine. They'll tell you inflation is cooling. They'll tell you jobs are strong. They'll say the market is recovering. But if everything is so great, why are people skipping groceries, dodging medical bills, and living on credit cards just to survive? Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The economy isn't improving for regular people. It's squeezing them quietly, slowly, and relentlessly. Look around. Rent is still brutal. Insurance keeps jumping. A simple car repair feels like a financial emergency. And the middle class is doing mental math in the parking lot like it's a second job. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what the news keeps leaving out, and why life is getting harder even when the numbers look good. And once you see what's really happening, you can't unsee it. Let's break it down. Right now, no fluff. Go. Let me make this simple. The economy can look healthy on paper, while real life gets worse. That's because the numbers you see in the news don't measure stress, debt, and survival. They measure trends that can hide pain. When reporters say the economy is doing fine, they usually mean certain indicators are fine. But the average person doesn't live inside indicators. They live inside rent, food prices, gas, and bills that don't care what the stock market is doing. And that's why so many people feel confused. You're told things are getting better, but your life says the opposite. You cut back, you work more, you still fall behind. That gap isn't in your head. It's real. Right now, we're watching a slow squeeze. Not a dramatic crash, not a Hollywood meltdown, just pressure building month after month until normal life starts feeling impossible. And the first place you can see it is in the job numbers, because being employed doesn't mean you're secure anymore. Here's what that looks like. They keep saying the job market is strong, and technically, yes, a lot of people are working. But here's the trick. Having a job doesn't mean you're okay. It just means you haven't fallen off the cliff yet. Look closer, and you'll see the real story. More people are stacking jobs, not chasing dreams, chasing bills. A full-time paycheck covers rent, maybe, and then everything else gets pushed onto overtime, side gigs, or a credit card. That's not prosperity. That's survival. And the jobs being added aren't always high-paying, stable careers. They're often part-time roles, temporary work, or positions with unpredictable hours. So the headline says jobs up, but your bank account says still broke. Wages did rise for some workers, but costs rose faster. When rent jumps, insurance spikes, and groceries stay high, a small raise turns into a rounding error. You can work harder and still fall behind because the finish line keeps moving. And notice what people aren't saying. Quality matters. If you're employed but your hours got cut, your benefits disappeared, and you're one sick day away from missing rent, that's not stability. That's a fragile paycheck with a timer on it. Even layoffs get softened with words like restructuring or right-sizing, while fewer workers are expected to do more. That pressure turns into burnout, anxiety, and zero breathing room. So when you hear strong jobs, ask, strong for who and for how long? And that brings us to prices. Right now. See, they keep celebrating that inflation is cooling, but that phrase is one of the biggest mind games in modern economics. Cooling doesn't mean prices go back down. It just means they're rising slower than before. If your rent jumped 20% and groceries jumped 30%, and now those increases slow down, you're still stuck paying the new higher prices. That's why life still feels expensive. The pain is already baked in. You don't get relief just because the headline sounds calmer. Your paycheck isn't magically stretched again. And it's not just food. It's car insurance, utilities, childcare, repairs, and every small fee that keeps getting bigger. Plus, companies quietly shrink what you get. Same price, smaller bag, same menu, smaller portion. That's not imagination, that's shrinkflation. So even when inflation cools, your cart feels lighter and your receipt feels heavier. So when the news says inflation is down, translate it like this: the rate of damage slowed, not the damage reversed. And when prices reset higher, families fill the gap with the only thing left: debt. That's the trap. And here's what the headlines avoid: people are still spending because they're borrowing. That's why the economy can look okay while households feel broke. Credit cards aren't being used for flights and fancy dinners. They're being used for groceries, gas, diapers, prescriptions, and the kind of bills you can't skip. That's a red flag, not a flex. When you swipe to survive, you're buying time, not comfort. The balance grows, the interest piles up, and suddenly your minimum payment is another monthly bill. One surprise expense can knock everything over. A car repair, a dentist visit, a sick kid, a cut in hours. And once you fall behind, the fees hit, your credit drops, and the hole gets deeper. So when you hear consumer spending is strong, ask what it's made of. Because spending powered by debt is like running on fumes. It keeps the engine moving until it doesn't. And it's not just credit cards. Buy now, pay later plans are everywhere, turning a $40 purchase into 4 payments that stack up. People don't feel rich. They feel trapped, juggling due dates, hoping nothing breaks. Housing is where this squeeze becomes impossible to ignore. For most people, your housing cost isn't just a bill, it's the foundation of your entire life. And right now, that foundation is cracking. Home prices jumped, then interest rates climbed, so buyers got hit twice. The sticker price is high, and the monthly payment is brutal. People who did everything right are still locked out. Good income, decent credit, savings, yet the math doesn't work. So, you turn to renting. And that doesn't save you either. Rents stayed elevated. Renewals come with sudden increases. And moving costs feel like punishment. First month, last month, deposit, fees, trucks, time off work, just to end up paying more somewhere else. This traps people in place. You can't upgrade, you can't downsize, you can't breathe. Roommates become normal again. Adults move back home. Couples delay kids because a bigger apartment costs a second paycheck. And when housing eats the biggest chunk of your income, everything else becomes fragile. One emergency turns into a crisis because there's no margin left. The headlines call this a tough market. But it's more than that. It's a door closing. Even homeowners feel it. Property taxes rise, insurance spikes, and maintenance costs explode. A simple repair can wipe out months of savings. And in many cities, investors and big landlords can outbid regular families, then rent the same homes back to them at higher prices. That's not a housing cycle. That's a squeeze. And then there are the costs nobody warns you about, the ones that sneak in quietly and hit you every month. Insurance is a big one. Car insurance jumps even if you haven't had an accident. Health insurance rises while coverage feels worse. Home insurance spikes, and suddenly your stable payment isn't stable anymore. Then there's the car itself. New cars are expensive, used cars are still overpriced, and repairs feel like a scam. A battery, brakes, tires, one fix can erase your whole week. Add utilities, internet, and subscriptions you can't cancel because life depends on them, and the squeeze gets tighter. It's death by 1,000 charges. Childcare costs more, school fees pop up, your bank adds maintenance fees, your phone bill creeps higher. Even parking and tolls feel like taxes on existing. None of these costs become breaking news, but they show up on your statement. And when every category rises at the same time, you're not overspending, you're being priced out of normal life. Here's why the news can claim the economy is fine, while regular people struggle. They're looking at optics, not reality. A strong stock market doesn't mean a strong life. The market can rise while families fall. Companies can cut jobs, freeze wages, and still see their stock go up because investors love efficiency. So the headlines celebrate the numbers, even if those numbers were built by squeezing workers and raising prices. And official data often moves slowly. It doesn't capture stress in real time. It doesn't measure how many people are one emergency away from missing rent. It doesn't show the quiet compromises, skipping checkups, avoiding repairs, eating cheaper food, delaying everything important. So, you get this split-screen America. On one side, charts, confidence, and recovery. On the other, debt, anxiety, and burnout. Because the economy isn't a headline, it's your day-to-day. And if your life is harder, the economy is worse no matter what the numbers say. Now watch. So, the next time you see good economic news, ask one question. Good for who? Because for millions of Americans, this isn't a recovery. It's a slow squeeze, higher costs, higher debt, and less breathing room every month. If you feel it, comment "squeeze" so I know you're not alone. Share this with someone who's been saying, "I don't get it. I'm working harder, but falling behind." And if you want more videos exposing what's really happening behind the headlines, hit subscribe. We're going to break it down, one hidden signal at a time. See you in the next one. No politics, no noise, just the stuff that hits your wallet and your future. Because once you see the squeeze, you can't ignore it.